think it's appropriate that churches are involved.
Interesting.
All sorts of ways to get involved. And to get involved, all you need to do is go to the website. If you go to www.the70273project.org, you'll see a directory there, and it will take you to all sorts of things that you can all sorts of different, however you want to come into it, you can find it there, or you can email me and I will talk to you directly and tell you, or message me on Facebook, or just get in touch with me. I also have a group of course, I have my hometown hive, as I call the ones who are taking over these systems for me, freeing up some time for me. And then I have a group of ambassadors all over the world who are stepping up to sort of organize it in their specific area, their spot on earth. And so lots of people. This village is big. They say it takes a village, and this village is huge. This village is global.
That's really interesting. It's really fascinating. So how has the Holocaust or the World War II communities responded to this?
They have embraced it. They have really embraced it because they understand that this was part of the Holocaust. This was, even though they didn't target Jewish people at that point, at this point was disabilities. Yeah. It was all part of it. And they also developed the gas chambers on Action T4 is where the gas chambers were developed. That, of course, at the end of Action T4, the gas chambers were disassembled and moved to the various, what we now call concentration camps.
Awesome. Have you had contact with the World War II Museum at all here in New Orleans?
No, I haven't.
That's interesting.
I should though.
Yeah, part of my quilting army, her husband is involved there, so I should connect the two of you. Yeah, it'd be really.
That'd be great. Right? I didn't know it was there.
Yeah, we have a huge World War II museum. Yeah, it's like a big deal thing. Let's see.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, there's another trip to New Orleans in my future.
Totally, absolutely. Well, you're welcome to stay here if you. We foster kittens, so as long as you don't mind small kittens, yeah.
No, that's great. I love that you do that.
Yeah, it's the National World War II Museum. So, and it's huge, and it's really well funded. And there's tons. I mean, it's this big thing. Yeah, take a look online, and it's got your daughter would love it. It's got a canteen, where they reenact shows from World War II. It's like part of it.
Wow.
And it's like a, thing people come to, and we've been to it because people come visit. It's great. It's big. It's huge. It's like many buildings. Yeah. It's, they've got the stage door canteen. Your daughter, you have to bring your daughter because she probably knows about it.
Yeah.
It's like a full
I bet
show.
She does.
Yeah, it's a full show of people singing and dancing. Betty Davis serves the desserts. Marlena Dietrich and Lauren Bacall dance the night away. Right. And Bing, so she'd love it. It's totally...
because that's what she does. She's Betty Grable.
What she does. So I bet she knows about it, but she totally should come.
I bet she does too. She's going to love that. You should see when she gets dressed up as Betty Grable, you should see the World War II veterans, their faces. Decades are whisked away from their faces. They are immediately, they look at Allison and they are transported back to when they were that young buck and looking at Betty Grable pinup posters.
That is so, how did she decide to do that? That's like the most, I'm sure it's not random, but how did she decide to do that as part of her life?
I don't know. She's an actor and a vocalist. And so this is just, I guess, and she loves history. So you put those three together and she just does reenacting and she just absolutely loves it. She started out with Civil War reenacting, but that was a little too much in the elements for her. So she moved up to World War II era, which she's in love with World War II era anyway. And so she just wound up reenacting and absolutely loves it.
Fascinating. Super interesting. All right. So other parts of your quilt.
And the World War II veterans.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, I just want to tell you this quick story. So the veterans really, they are whisked back. They sit up straighter, their faces, the wrinkles disappear, the smiles get bigger. And she will say to them, thank you for your service. And she'll shake their hand. And then she will say, with her 1940s red lipstick on, she will say, can I give you a kiss? And they just kind of, their mouth drops open and they just kind of nod their head, words won't come. And so she goes for their cheek. And 8 out of 10 of them will at the last minute turn their head. So she winds up kissing them on the lip. And then the families tell her later, we could not get him to shave for 2 weeks after that.
That's so sweet. That's so funny. Wow, that's a really nice thing that she does. It's really great. All right, so before we end, tell me a little bit more about your life outside of this project.
Oh, well, that's what I'm trying to decide right now, because it's the end of the year and the beginning of a year. So I always try to come up with something I'm going to do. And I'll still stitch Nancy's drawings, of course. I'll be stitching that and doing a lot of traveling for the 70273. Somebody asked me yesterday, is all your travel for work or pleasure? And I said, well, pleasure, because this isn't work. I just love what I'm doing. So family. I spend a lot of time with family, with my mom and my daughter, and we go to Denver next week on a babysitting gig. So life is full. Life is great.
That sounds like a very perfect life in some way. Having community and doing things you want and traveling for that. It's really awesome.
Meeting people like you.
Well, they're very kind. Well, I think your project rocks. I think I told you that. I think it's all things that are really, it just brings together so many interesting components of it. It's really cool. What's the financial, how is this supported? Tell me about the financial aspects of this project.
My children's inheritance has pretty much supported it so far.
Yeah.
I just have had a woman step up and say she will chair fundraising. I love her. So she's in charge of fundraising, and she'll be she's getting her ducks in a row, and she'll be gearing up for that. But people have been very kind and generous, sticking checks in with their blocks or going online to make donations. I created a shop page, and so there are a few things for sale there. Like you mentioned, the smaller stitched renderings of Nancy's drawings. And it gets really, really expensive shipping these quilts around the world.
Yeah.
So, and storage is going to quickly becoming a financial issue as well. So we appreciate any financial donation too.
That's really interesting. So when they get shipped to places, like, are the people that you're sending them to, are they helping with the cost of it, like in Germany and the UK, or are you still bearing all the costs of whatever's happening with the quilt?
So far, the people in those countries are making the quilts, and those are the quilts that go on exhibit.
Interesting.
And so they furnished all of the supplies to get that far, and we are trying to figure out what is feasible for getting the quilts back to heart quarters after their exhibit. But France had our first major European exhibit was in La Cause, France last June, and they made all of those quilts and they exhibited them, and then we were able to bring them back home in suitcases. We just paid for the extra luggage. The engineer, that's my husband, and I schlepped them back home in extra suitcases, and some of them went home to the UK as seed quilts, so people could see what they're making to go hang in Rochester and Durham.
Interesting. And so, tell me also about, before I forgot, I really wanted to hear about your experience at Quilt Market and Quilt Festival in Houston. Had you been there before this, the first year for the project?
Oh, I'm a Houston virgin. It was the first year I had been there, and it was nothing short of magical.
Yeah.
It was absolutely magical. I was going to do, I've worked with the best people who were in charge of special exhibits, who were incredibly patient with me. I don't speak the language. I didn't know the ropes of doing an exhibit like that. They were incredibly patient and gracious and funny. We had a really good time prepping for it. And I got there, and it was absolutely astonishing and magical.
Yeah. I mean, I imagine it was for you. It's just being there. You're transported to this world that is, it's nothing like I've ever experienced. And I was just there as an observer, I didn't have an exhibit out like you did. And they gave you such great placement. That was amazing. Like you were like in the middle of everything. It was amazing.
Wasn't it amazing? And they displayed 50 quilts, which was amazing. And the way they hung them, I had nothing to do with the hanging, the design, layout, or anything. They did all of that, and they just did such a tremendously good job. I'm just so grateful.
And then what was the response once you were there?
The response was incredible. I got to meet people that I've only known online, people who have made quilts and blocks, who came up and got in my face and said, I am, and introduced themselves. So that was wonderful. We met lots of other people. I heard lots and lots and lots of stories, and I loved the stories. It was just, my heart was so full, I had to pay extra charges to get it home.
And how exhausted were you when you got home?
I really was okay.
You were.
I really was. And my feet didn't even hurt. I expected my feet to hurt, but I think because it was so filling, fulfilling, and it was so heartwarming, so it wasn't tiring. It wasn't exhausting at all.
That's really interesting. Well, it was beautiful. And then you also had a booth over in the nonprofit area so that you could have, how was that experience?
That was great too. We knew nothing about what we were doing. We were winging it without any experience to back us up. And so we took, how many did we take? We took 1,000 block kits all ready to go. Everything except a needle was in there. Needle and scissors. I just couldn't afford that many needles and scissors, but everything else, even thread, was in there. All of those went home with other people. People made friendship blocks there. That was a new way to make blocks that we did at the festival. I forget, I haven't even counted how many we made actually, but a great big box of those is winging its way to Nevada now to be turned into a festival quilt. It was just like everything else associated with this project. It was overwhelmingly good.
Yeah.
The goodness is just incredible. So, and all of this is going out into the world.
Yeah.
That can't be.
No, and the thing that's so awesome about it too is the quilting community is a very generous community to begin with, right?
Yes.
So it sort of highlights that as part of it as well, which I think is really interesting about the project.
And not everybody's the quilter.
Yeah.
That's another thing. The majority of people are quilters, but I have people who've never held a needle who feel so strongly about this that they are willing to be vulnerable and try something new and be less than perfect. And I always tell them, we're commemorating perfectly imperfect people.
Yeah.
Even if I knew what perfect looked like, that would be a travesty to try to commemorate them that way instead of perfectly imperfect, which is who they are.
Yeah.
Who we all are.
Who we all are. It's totally true. Well, this is super interesting. Do you have anything else that you'd like to add before we end today?
Just a great big thank you. It was I really have carried the memory of meeting and talking to you with me every day since festival.
I feel the same way. That's so funny. That's really funny. You're with me all the time, and I keep thinking, I can't wait till we have time to talk.
Yeah. It was just so wonderful to meet you, and here we are, but this isn't the end of our talk. No. I do thank you that. I thank you so much for having me here. Yeah. I'm so excited to get to talk to you again, and I'm so grateful for you for helping me get the word out. Well, and a bundle of books is on its way to you too.
Awesome. Yes, I volunteered to put them together, so I'm super psyched. And then we're going to try to figure out, it's funny because we've got another podcast that we're doing called, I'm going to get the name wrong, but it's called Remembering Our Grandparents, Millennials, something about millennials. It's all about preservation and searching for history about World War II and Holocaust grandparents. So we've got a couple of students that have come to me over the last couple of years, where one had a her grandfather took photographs for I think Look magazine, and she's got all of them in her in World War II. Another one who was in the army and helped save a whole bunch of stuff for a particular village and is very involved in a Jewish community. But it's a podcast that's sort of looking at